Yo, what is good, yo? It's your boy Ty back here with another video. And in this video today, I am going to be ranking my NBA point guards on a tier list. Now, these point guards are just the starting point guards for each specific team. For example, Derrick Rose is not on this list. Now, I'm not doing this alone. We have Nate here as well, my brother, if for those of you who don't know, with me, who knows probably more about the NBA than I do. I think I know quite a bit, but he knows probably more and watches more games with me. Nate, say what's up.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Yeah, I love doing this type of stuff. We just got we had our NBA mock draft. We did this last year too, and it was a lot of fun. Granted, we got roasted pretty badly, but I feel like when you do an NBA tier list, you're gonna get roasted regardless of what you put.
I mean, probably, but I mean, I feel like a lot of these guys. Never mind. I was about to say something, but I mean, if you just look at the point guards, there's a lot of good point guards, and that's kind of where things get tough, I think.
Yeah, point guard's a really deep position in the NBA. I feel like for like centers, there's like a big drop off, and power forward is kind of hit or miss. But like point guard, especially, I feel might be probably the strongest position in the NBA overall.
I agree, no doubt about it. And I mean, it doesn't make it any easier for us that we start off with Ben Simmons. I mean, that's the first guy that we have to put somewhere on this list, and that doesn't make it easy for me at all. So for Ben Simmons, I mean, obviously he's getting a lot of hate in the NBA media. I mean, and obviously for me in specifics, when I think about Ben Simmons and specifically the Philadelphia 76ers, they're one of the most disappointing franchises of, not disappointing, but underachieving. Like just seeing as what the Sixers have done, they've just underachieved in recent years.
They've just had a lot of really good teams that can't get quite over the hump, and then this year, really, Simmons got a lot of negative attention, and I feel like he's become underrated in a way now because of it. He's still arguably the best defender in the NBA. You can make an argument for that, and his skill set is absolutely incredible. I mean, even offensively, he's immensely talented. He just can't shoot.
I
That's
mean,
all
I
it
mean, I
is.
mean,
So for me,
but you say he's immensely talented, but shooting's obviously a big part. Where do you have him, A or B? I mean, I don't think it's a question anything other than those two. But what do you think?
I think it's an easy A. At the end of the day, he's going to make the All-Star team next year likely. He's making it consistently every single season. You can't put an All-Star anywhere below A, in my opinion. A consistent All-Star.
Look, I don't necessarily disagree with that. All I'm gonna say is Ben Simmons, man, he's got to mentally figure it out for this Philadelphia 76ers if that's where he's at to make that next step. Next up, we do have Chris Paul. And I mean, it's just sad to me the fact that Chris Paul can never find a way. I like Chris Paul, but I want him to eventually just find a way to get it done.
The way he takes care of his body is crazy to me. The fact that is he 37, I think, 37, 38, whatever the case is, one of those
Right.
two.
I
And
think
I know he's like on a plant-based diet or whatever. And it's just crazy that a 6 foot guy, just to be that short and still be as good as he is, and he's seen almost no drop off.
And I think for me, one of the main reasons CP3 hasn't seen a big drop off, obviously, is his game, right? His game is not an above the rim type of game, and so I feel like his creativity, obviously, he can handle the rock incredible, and just his IQ, those types of things I mean, rarely go away. So I think I got to put CP3 in A tier as well. What do you think?
Yep, I think he's another easy A guy right now. We'll see next season if we start to actually see some drop off, but I'm not doubting CP3 until I see it.
Now the next guy here, Kobe White. I'll let you kind of take the reins on Kobe here.
Kobe White is not really a player I like. He had a lot of hype, and it's really kind of dwindled down. He's kind of a volume scorer who's hit or miss a lot of the time. He doesn't really offer anything else outside of his scoring ability. He's not a good passer really. He's a horrible defender. And I really liked him coming out of college, and I still do like him as a prospect. And I'm just looking at the list of guys we have.
And
I
that's
think
the
he's a
thing.
D or F.
And that's the thing. It's like Kobe White's. I don't want to sit here and say he's bad, but when you're comparing him to other starting point guards in the NBA, he's one of the obviously easily the bottom 6 or 7 guys on this list. I think for me, and so to go any higher with D, I just don't think it. And I've been one to say I don't like Kobe White a lot. And Nate, you've kind of I think not necessarily got in arguments, but disagreements on how good Kobe White is. I've never been a fan of the guy.
I like him, but at the end of the day, I know where he's at in his career right now. He's just an inefficient scorer. and that
Right.
doesn't really offer much else. So because of that, I'm gonna have to put him in F, and I still like him decently as a prospect.
Okay, you want to go F with him? That's perfectly fine with me. I have no disagreements with that. But then if we're gonna put him in F, where are we thinking with Cole Anthony?
I'm going same place with Cole Anthony, another guy, and that's no knock on Cole Anthony. You got to remember this guy is he's 19 or 20 right now, and he's the starting point guard on the Magic, and he showed flashes, but he's still and granted he's probably a better playmaker than Kobe,
Yeah. Yep.
but just another inefficient guy. He's not good defensively right now. I don't think he ever will be, but he has shown flashes of potential, but right now he's still F, in my opinion.
No, I don't disagree at all. Then we got another not very good player up next. I mean, we started with Chris Paul, Ben Simmons obviously being great, and then we've had three players that are just not really it.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of these guys are just kind of teams that are rebuilding, and they're just kind of shuffling guys in there. And Corey Jones is kind of weird because he's kind of an older guy that still started for the Pistons, but I still think he's F.
I mean, yeah, you can't go any higher. I don't think with him. I mean, with who else we got on this list, we'll see. I mean, maybe one of those guys will eventually move up. I don't know. Maybe not because those might be the three worst guys on the. Maybe outside of one guy, some of the three worst guys on the list. So I don't disagree at all.
We'll see. We'll see. Damian Lillard.
Let's see. I want to check out the list really quick. I have no hesitation with where I'm taking Dame.
Me either. I think he's an easy S. He's just a step above CP3 and Simmons right now.
It's just going to be interesting to see with Dame just kind of as his careers went on in Portland. It's just kind of interesting, right? Because Dame's another guy. He's never. I need to see him on a championship contending team. I just think that's the next thing I want to see for Dame, and Portland's just not there right now. It's just the way it is, and so it's sad to see a top 3 point guard in the game in a situation like Dame's in.
Yeah, but I like his personality. I like his mentality that he wants to stay in Portland. It's awesome to see a superstar want to stay and try to win someplace, but at the end of the day, it's still a ticking time bomb with Damon. You don't know when he's going to want out eventually. So you either got to make something happen or he's going to want out. One of those two things is going to happen.
You're exactly right. Now deloading up next, and here I'm just gonna say this about D'Lo. He's been getting a lot of slander, whatever. But I'm gonna say this. I mean, it's kind of unfair even last year for people to talk about D'Lo when I mean, first of all, he wasn't healthy, and second of all, that's the big thing. He was healthy, and then obviously out games because he was had that surgery. So what are you thinking about D'Lo here? I know you like D'Lo a lot.
Yeah, I like D'Lo a lot. And after he came back from his injury, he played a lot better. He's a guy that I think he's one of the more underrated guys in the NBA just because he's on a bad team. He was hurt last year. There's a lot of knocks against him. He's not a defender at all. But offensively, you've seen it. He's immensely talented, and I think his playmaking is very underrated. But I would still go B tier with him because his defensive ability is not at the level of Paul or Simmons.
Right. Now,
So
defensively, he's not very good. I
I think
will
he's just a
say,
step below those guys.
after he came back, I mean, he looked a lot better. I will say that. And he even said his body's never felt, that good. So we'll see what happens with D'Lo this year. But the Timberwolves got to take a step, and I think D'Lo is going to be, a very big part of that. Up next, Darius Garland. I'll be the first to say I haven't watched enough of Darius Garland. I'll be the first to say it. So what do you think of with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Darius Garland, all of that?
I really like Garland, a guy who really improved his game and really
Mm-hmm.
took the next. He went to the next level this year, averaged almost 20 and 6 for a guy that young. And he's your prototypical point guard who's really good in the pick and roll, a really good shooter, and at most other positions, I think I'd have him higher. But I mean, we talked about it at the start. The point guard position is probably the most
Stacked.
talented position out of anywhere else. And I don't think I can put him on the same level as D'Angelo right now. So because of that, I have him C. But I think he will go up the more he keeps developing. But I think I'm gonna have to go C right now with him.
No, I don't mind that at all. That's actually where I had him. It's just, again, he's super, super young, so we'll see if he can continue to make that next step. Now, De'Aaron Fox, another interesting one here for me. I mean, it's between two tiers for me, and I'm not exactly sure where I want to go with De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, I think you probably have him between A and B, right?
Right.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely tough. I think the way I look at it is who's he more close to in terms of talent wise? Is he more close to Paul and Simmons or Russell? And I'm gonna be completely honest. I think he's closer to Paul and Simmons. I think people will say he's on a losing team, but he's a really, really good and he's a really good defender. I think it's close though. I do think it's really, really close. I'm not saying with certainty that I think he's A. I think it's close.
I just think for De'Aaron Fox, I mean, again, if your team doesn't win games, similar to D'Angelo Russell, people are gonna think about you in kind of a more negative light compared to Chris Paul, right? Obviously, he's an exception because he's been a winner no matter where he's went. But that's just kind of how I think of these guys, right? If you throw Chris Paul on that Sacramento team, do I think they make the playoffs? I personally do. So that's just kind of how I think about things if we're comparing him to a guy like Chris Paul or D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, but do you think the 76ers would rather have Simmons or De'Aaron Fox?
I mean,
You gotta look at it
I
one
think
by
the
two.
Sixers are in a different kind of dimension in general, but just because they haven't had success with Simmons, I don't know. I'm fine with going A tier, but I
We
will
can always
say
adjust it. We can always adjust
De'Aaron
it.
Fox has to show me something. That's what I'm going to say about that. Dejounte Murray, I like Dejounte Murray. I will be the first person to say I like Dejounte Murray.
Yeah, I like DeJounte a lot too. He's just a guy. He really slipped. Do you remember when he got drafted? He was in the green room, and I think San Antonio got him at like almost 30
Mm,
or something like that. I really like him too. I think a guy like him is so invaluable because he's just a point guard who knows how to play his role, and he's going to be a great defensive player as
right,
well. And
right.
he's going to, granted, he's not a great shooter,
Mm-hmm.
but but it's just tough because the point guard position's so talented. I like him in C tier
Mm.
still. I
Really,
don't think,
see,
I think I like him more right now than Garland. Granted, Garland's a better offensive player, but I think he's closer to Garland than Russell.
really, because I mean, when I think about Dejounte Murray, just kind of some of the stat lines he puts up. Granted, I don't again watch the Spurs a lot, just because the Spurs are not necessarily the most fun team to watch. But I just like what Dejounte Murray gives you. But on the flip side of things, there's some games he just is a complete non-factor. I feel like I don't know for Dejounte Murray. The one thing that about him is he's always going to give you defense.
Right. And yeah, like I said, he's not he might not even be a better offensive player than Kobe White, but
Right.
defensively, it's hard to beat him at point guard. And defense, as we see in the NBA, is so vital. All right, we
Next
got
guy,
LaMelo next.
you got LaMelo.
Yeah, was that not who you had next? Who did you
I
have
got
next?
Dennis Schroder.
Okay, we can do Schroeder. You go ahead. I don't know where LaMelo's at. I must have got him out of position somehow.
I think Dennis Schroder is one of the most slandered dudes in the entire league right now. I do. And I'm not gonna sit here and say Dennis Schroeder is a top player at the point guard position, but I don't think Dennis Schroeder is bad at all.
No, I agree. I think it's just kind of one of those things like we've seen a lot of the time where guys who have a bad season. I mean, everyone has a bad season every once in a while, and once they do, it's just everyone's ready to put them, bury them.
Right.
We see how social media is. It's just one person says something, then especially with Schroeder on the Lakers, he was in a more of a spotlight role. He still
Hmm.
had a decent year. He's never been an efficient scorer though. Which
I mean, what
he's
do
a
you?
good defender. He's a good defender though,
That's
which I think is pretty valuable.
I don't know.
I'd be curious. I want to know where you're leaning with him.
I'm stuck between B and C, and initially I had him in B tier just because I'm a big Dennis Schroeder guy. I like Dennis.
He's he's not B tier. He's not B tier.
I
He's
mean,
C tier. I'm fine C tier because I was leaning C,
but
and I
my
would lean more towards D than B.
you're not taking Darius Garland over Dennis Schroeder. Just stop that nonsense.
Maybe.
You just stop.
I
If
think
you
it's
look at what
close.
Dennis Schroeder has done in his years, in his time, he's consistent, man. And I'm not going to say he's a superstar, but he's been good. He's been good for a number of teams. Look, I'm going to say this. Dennis Schroeder's going to have a massively big year for the Boston Celtics. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. The Boston Celtics got an absolute steal. Dennis Schroeder's not getting paid this year, but after this year, he's going to get paid. I promise you that. Next up, I know where I'm going. I'm just not. I don't even want to spend time talking about Low Pro.
Is it who do you have?
I
Because I said mine
I
out
have
of. Is it
Elfrid Payton.
Alfred?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Alfred's F.
he's
He's kind
terrible.
of another guy that's slandered on a lot, and he's better than people say.
come on.
But he's still an F tier point guard. He had to get benched in the postseason for Derrick Rose. He couldn't even play on the court.
He's terrible.
He's not terrible. You can't just. He's not an offensive threat at all.
Nah, he's an okay defender.
It's hard to win. It's hard to win. He's an extremely good defender.
Next up, Ja Morant. I have no hesitation. None.
Man, I think Ja's tough.
Between what?
Where do you have him?
A.
I think he's tough between A and B.
I have no question. No question.
You think he's
Give me
A for
Ja
sure?
Morant over De'Aaron Fox. Yes.
Ooh, I'm fine putting him in A.
I love
I'm just
Morant.
wondering where we're gonna cut off the A's where it becomes.
But that's my thing. When you put De'Aaron Fox at B tier or at A tier, that's kind of where where the thing is, right? Because
yeah, but I think Fox is a better player
than Ja Morant.
Yeah. He's a better scorer.
Disagree.
He's more efficient. He's a better passer. He's a better defender.
He's not a better passer.
What is Ja better at?
He is not a better passer than Ja Morant.
I think you're sleeping on how good of a passer Fox is.
All I'm gonna say is the Sacramento Kings have never done anything. I mean, they haven't, and they.
Yeah, but basketball's a team sport.
Who's their lineup? They got who? Buddy Hield. They got who else? I mean, they're not that bad.
You just said Buddy Hield, and you couldn't even name another guy. You said they got Buddy Hield. They got who else?
Harrison Barnes is fine. I mean, they got a fine team. They got Rashawn Holmes. Like, they got a fine team.
Yeah, but Fox was out. They were in the playoff hunt until Fox got hurt.
I mean,
they were right there with the Grizzlies.
I'm fine, but if you're taking Fox in A tier, I'm taking Ja in A tier. Ja playmaking in the pick and roll he is lights out. Floater game, yeah, he got the, he's good.
We can keep him in A, but I'm just saying we're gonna have a lot of guys in A tier now.
Jamal Murray, where are you going?
You have Jamal. Oh, Jamal's easy too. Jamal's an easy A. And
that's the thing. It's like if we're not gonna have a cut, De'Aaron Fox for me was the cutoff. I mean, I think
how Fox is one of the better guys. He might be the best player at A tier.
Okay, let's just calm down here. Let's just calm down here for a second. Let's just calm down. I'm gonna look up De'Aaron Fox's stats right now, just so we can see some things here. I'm gonna look it up on my phone so we can just continue things. De'Aaron Fox. Okay. De'Aaron Fox. He shot 32% from the three-point line this year, 29% from the three-point line last year. But let's just ignore that fact. He's shooting 51 or 52% effectively. That's not great. 7 assists per game, 3 turnovers. I mean, he's fine. De'Aaron Fox is fine. Yes, he put up 25 points per game this year. That's fine with me. Then we can go look at Ja Morant. Yes, Ja's stats. He's not going to average as many points, obviously, because he's on a better team. Ja didn't shoot great from 3, shot better last year. From 3 effectively, again, right around that 50 mark, average 7.5 assists. So, I mean, they're super similar players in my opinion. So, if you're
but there's a difference.
What's the difference?
It's called the defensive side of the court.
I get that. I get what you're saying, that De'Aaron Fox is a better defender, but what? I guess to me, I don't think the Sacramento Kings are that bad.
I feel like if they would have made the playoffs, everyone would love De'Aaron Fox. But
and maybe you're right, but they can't make the playoffs. So
but you can't fail national media narrative.
Look,
because they don't make the playoffs doesn't mean Fox can't lead a team.
I'm not saying he can't.
Where you have 5 guys.
I'm not saying he can't lead a team. I'm not gonna sit here and say that. But I saw Ja Morant out there with who? Kyle Anderson. I mean, Dylan Brooks.
That team was good.
I mean, okay,
that team is good.
Let's stop gassing it. Let's stop. Let's calm down here. I saw Grayson Allen out there hit some big shots in overtime. Like let's calm down here, okay? You're acting like the Ja Morant had superstar talent around him. Okay.
No, but he's had more help than De'Aaron. And De'Aaron got
small
hurt.
Margin.
So otherwise, it probably would have been close.
Small margin. John Wall, I'm not a big John Wall fan of.
Wait, were you okay with Jamal Murray?
Jamal A is fine. Yeah, I like Jamal.
Okay. John Wall.
I legitimately have no idea where to put John Wall.
Man.
I mean,
it's tough for me too. It's so tough because he was so bad this year.
D tier? I don't know. I have no idea. Is that bad to put him in D tier?
Are we ready to say he's worse than Schroder though?
I think I'd rather have Dennis Schroder than John Wall heading into next year. That's my personal opinion. I like Schroder though. So again,
I'm gonna put Wall in C tier. I want to put him in C tier because
Based on what though,
I
Nate? I
feel
mean, based on what for
based on
John
his
Wall?
past. Based on his past.
I mean, again, I'm gonna
I
look up
feel
John
like
Wall real quick and just see, try to gather where you're coming from here. Okay, John
it's
Wall
just
post injury, I mean, was just I don't want to say he was terrible, but he was not good at all.
yeah, but he was also in a horrible situation.
Right, I get that, but even I mean,
And he had a down year. I mean, you said the same thing with Schroder. Schroder had a down year too.
it wasn't as bad as Wall's, not even close.
I
I
think
look.
it's close.
I,
I think it's
we can
close.
move John Wall to C tier. I do not like him at all, though. That might be bad to say. Maybe he's gonna have a bounce back here, and I hope he does for John Wall's sake.
I think in a more minimized role, he'd be better. I think
Maybe
if you
he's
put him
got
in
to shoot the
Schroeder's
ball
role,
though. Got to be able to shoot the ball. Maybe off of better looks, he'd be able to, obviously. But
I mean, he doesn't have to be able to shoot the ball. Maybe you put him, maybe you run him out there with the second unit majority of the time
I get
as
what
your
you're
scorer.
saying. I get
You
what you're
can still
saying.
start him.
Jrue Holiday up next. Again, no hesitation for me.
Where do you have him?
A.
I have him in A too. I think he's on the lower end of A. And I like Holiday, but just because of his offensive, he's the worst offensive player. He's the best defender probably, but
You can
he's
say
by
the
far
worst offensive player.
He's or I guess Simmons, but Simmons is probably
You can
is
say
on the
by
same
far
equal
he's the
tier.
worst offensive player. You can.
No, I said Simmons. I said
I'm
Simmons is
saying
right there
even
with him.
compared to the rest, you can say he's by far the worst offensive player. But I saw Jrue Holiday go get 20, 21, and 11. I saw Jrue Holiday, go put up 35 plus in a game in the playoffs. I mean, or 30 plus in the playoffs. Like the dude, the way you made that comment, you made it sound like he's bad offensively. The dude's
No,
good
it's
on
just
offense.
it's just look at the other guys offensively.
what
They're
you're
all
saying.
like all-star
Right,
level
right,
talents
right.
offensively.
Right, I get what you're
Murray,
saying.
Morant,
But Jrue
Fox,
can
and
shoot the
Paul.
ball. He's an incredible playmaker. We saw that this season, and so I just don't think offensively he's below average by any means. I mean, the dude's fantastic offensively.
No,
Just-
he's not below average. It's just the other guys are star level players.
No, I get that. But I think if I'm creating a list right now, Jrue Holiday is my third player at A tier. I think that's
All right,
just
that's
my
fair.
personal
That's fair.
opinion. Kemba Walker, I've never been a fan of Kemba Walker. That's just all I'm gonna say.
Where'd you throw him?
C.
So did I. I have him in C tier. He might be the best in C tier. I don't know. It's hard to say because he's coming.
I
off of a
probably
horrible
agree
season,
with
too.
that he's the best player in C tier, but I got slandered last year for saying Kemba Walker was not good. I
Yeah,
literally
I
got
defended him.
slanded for it. And
Part of it,
I
I
do
mean,
not
you gotta
like
think.
Kemba
You gotta know
Walker.
part of it's injuries. If he can stay healthy, which he probably won't, because that's why no one wants him. Is because he can't stay healthy, and so he's playing through injuries, and who knows how much they've just already kind of torn him down to the player he is
Right.
now from where he was. So
I
who
mean,
knows
he's
if
got
he'll
a
ever be
fresh
able to go
start though,
back.
so I mean, we'll see. We'll see with him. Kendrick Nunn.
I will say I like that we have this difference between C and F because I don't really think there's. I mean, look at the difference between the players at F and the players at C. I
Right,
think
right.
it's
There's a
fine
massive.
that we don't have anyone in D.
Where
Yeah.
are you gonna throw Kendrick Nunn though?
I think
And
Nunn's D. I think Nunn's the first D tier player.
Listen. And I love Kendrick Nunn. I'd be the first person to vouch for Kendrick Nunn, but he's a D tier player. I love Kendrick Nunn. I love him. But he's a D tier player.
It's just because you don't know what you're ever gonna get out of him right now, right?
don't.
And
I mean-
I guess he's not that young because he was a really old rookie.
I think he's what, 25?
He just hasn't
maybe?
really. Right. I'd be tempted to put him at C, but I think he's more D right now.
I agree, and he definitely has the potential to be C. I don't think anybody is questioning that. Kyle Lowry, this is an interesting one for me. I don't have any hesitation with this, but it's an interesting one.
I think Kyle Lowry's pretty easy.
A.
I have him in B.
That's what I was kind of debating towards A and B.
He's just getting old. He did have a little bit of a fall off this year.
But it's just
What
like
is he, 35 now?
it's just like for me. I love Kyle Lowry and how he plays the game, right? And it's the little things, right? The passion that he plays the game with, taking charges, right? Those little things that help your team win that a guy like, John Morant's probably not going to do. Now, I love John Morant, but how many charges are you going to see him take? It's just, those are the different things. I think Kyle Lowry, with him aging, probably is becoming closer to B, but I think he's a step above D'Angelo Russell.
He might be A. You might be right.
It's just hard because
Hmm.
the year. I mean, obviously, with the year. I mean, it's just hard. I think he's.
I just feel
I think he's closer to B. I think he's the worst player at A tier if we put him at A. I'll say that.
I agree, but he's obviously better than D'Angelo Russell right now in his career.
We could just put
Dang.
Kyle Lowry at a high B tier. D'Angelo Russell just a B tier. I mean, it's
Okay,
hard.
that's
It's
fine.
hard. Kyrie Irving.
That's fine. That's fine.
This one's really tough for me. Let me know where you take
Man,
Kyrie,
me
and then
too.
and then I'll kind of let you know what I'm thinking with Kyrie.
It's tough. It's tough for me too. Because
From
Kyrie's so underrated right now. It's
he is
crazy because people just forget. I mean, when there's a guy with injuries, they usually become over or underrated.
underrated,
Excuse
right?
me.
Yeah, right. I
And
just
people forget how good he is offensively. Like he's right there with Damian Lillard as a
oh
talent
no
wise
doubt,
offensively.
no doubt. You look at his
And
efficiency; it's ridiculous.
I think he's closer to Lillard than he is to anyone today.
I have Kyrie Irving at S tier. I think he is
Yeah,
an S
I
tier
think he's
player.
us for sure.
And I don't necessarily like the Brooklyn Nets or Kyrie Irving, but I think he definitely is S tier.
Hmm. Who do you have next?
LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo's pretty easy for me.
B.
Yeah, I think he's an easy B. I think he's. Do you think he's better than D'Angelo right now? Already?
I don't know.
I think
I
it's
I
close
guess I
too.
haven't watched enough of LaMelo. But I think going into next year, I'd rather have LaMelo Ball. But like last year, I don't know. But LaMelo's just gonna keep growing, obviously, because he's young. We'll see. We'll see. LaMelo Ball is good. I'm not gonna say you're in gas. He's definitely good. We'll see what the Charlotte Hornets do this year as well. But I mean, I think he's right with D'Angelo Russell is what I would say. Give me Kyle Lowry
Yeah, and I think
over LaMelo
I
though.
agree. I agree.
Alonzo Ball,
Lonzo,
no. I mean, I have no hesitation with this one either.
me either.
Where do you have him?
I feel like we're gonna have him in different tiers.
B tier.
I have him C. I have him
Mm.
that's best in C.
Mm.
I just look at who's in B and I look at who's in C. I think he's C tier. I
Is
think he was
is
ranked almost
is
I think he was like dead last in pick and roll efficiency last year.
offensively right, but on the defensive end of the court, he is immaculate. And what I'm
So
gonna
my
say is
question
he
is,
shoots the ball well. You can't say Lonzo's not a good shooter. He's a good shooter, and so it's like he does things for you on the court.
I would compare him to Dejounte Murray, except he's a better shooter than Murray, but Murray's a better half court playmaker.
I
Murray's a better
I just
defender too.
my thing is
Lonzo's a better
this.
shooter.
My thing is this: is Lamelo better than Lonzo? I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know the answer to that question.
No, he is. I can tell you he is. I'm telling you right now that
Defensively,
he
do you
is.
realize how bad Lamelo is defensively?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I don't know. That's the hard part I have just with this is
There's
Lamelo's.
nothing wrong with being C tier though.
I don't disagree with that, but I think Lonzo Ball is
We
incredible.
can't
I
we can't
think
put him in the same tier as D'Angelo Russell and Kyle Lowry.
I'm just gonna say I don't know if we can put him in the same tier as John Wall either.
No, we can.
I disagree with that, but you got this one. That's all I can say. You got to pick your battles. I think Lonzo is closer to a guy like D'Angelo Russell and LaMelo Ball to John Wall. I don't even think it's close. Next
And there's
up,
there's there's nothing wrong with C tier. There's nothing
I
wrong with
never said
that.
there's nothing wrong with C tier,
If he's
but
at the
there's a
top, he's
problem
probably
when
gonna be. Go ahead.
I think when I like I said he's closer to LaMelo Ball than John Wall. That's my opinion with it. But it's look, we can have our disagreements. We can put him in C tier, but I think Lonzo Ball is better than everybody at C tier, closer to guys at B tier than C tier.
Let's
Luka
go ahead and throw
Doncic,
Luke in it. Just throw him an S and
S.
let's move on.
Malcolm
We
Brogdon.
don't need to talk about it. Brogdon,
It's
easy,
easy. B.
easy B.
Yep.
Another guy. He's so steady. He's gonna be like I don't even know who to compare him to. He's just gonna be like this guy who flies under the radar his entire career
He
and
is, but it's like
just consistently average like 16 to 17
a
and like
team that should be better than they are the Indiana Pacers. I'm just gonna throw that out there. They should be way
they
better
just
than
gotta
they
get
are.
healthy. That's it. If they become healthy, they'll be better once they
Ooh,
get
this
healthy.
next guy's difficult.
No, it's not.
Are you gonna go A tier with him?
No,
B?
no, not A. Yeah, he's B.
That's where I
No, wait. Yeah, I have him in B. Yep.
That's what I thought, but it's like he's good.
Yeah. In
He's
my opinion,
really,
it's
really
just like
good.
him and Kyle Lowry are right
Lowry,
there. I think
right?
Lowry's better than him though. Still, Conley
Maybe,
made the All-Star
maybe.
game this year, but I think people would be like, "Oh, Conley's not that good just because of what happened in the playoffs when he was hurt." But if
Right.
you watched him play in the regular season, he was arguably their most important player on
Mike
a
Conley
night-to-night
was
basis.
good, man. I shouldn't say was good. He is good. Patrick Beverley.
Pat Bev.
It's easy for me. Now I will say when he got some DNPs
Mm.
in the playoffs, I got a little
Where do you have him?
D.
Me too. I have him D. Yeah, because he was like you said, he was getting DMPs, but a guy with his skill set is still extremely valuable.
It is, and I mean you saw the energy he gave that Clippers team. I mean, night in and night out, you know what you're getting out of Pat Bev.
He's a good shooter too. I mean, not a good, but he's efficient shooter. He
No, he
became
is.
an
He is.
efficient shooter.
He's a good shooter. Next
Spot
up,
him up in the corner.
Russell Westbrook, no brainer.
Where do you have him?
A.
I'm fine with that. I'm not gonna argue. You know, I'm a Westbrook critic, but I'm not gonna argue. You know what I rather have? The thing I want you to think about. I feel like the Lakers would rather have Kyle Lowry than Westbrook next year, but you know what? I'm not gonna go into all that.
I don't know if they would. That's a conversation for another day. Next up, Stephen Curry. I mean,
Wardell, top of
I'm
S.
just not even gonna. I'm not even gonna talk about it. Not even gonna talk about it at all. Theo Maledon. I mean, I'm not even gonna talk about him either. I mean, I'm not.
F. Easy
This
F.
next one's the hardest dude on the list. I'm taking him my place, and then I'll let you take him your place, and then we can have a
I'm
conversation.
throwing him in my place, and I'm gonna tell you why.
I
I have him in S,
That's where I got him.
and the reason I have him in S is because I feel like he's a player. I mean, we've seen these guys, right, when they go to the. I feel like he's a player in the playoffs. He becomes more valuable than he is in the regular
Right.
season, because I think you take some other guys, and I don't even know if you would in the regular season. I think he's S easy.
Now I will
Actually,
say if you throw
after what he did this year.
if you throw Trae Young on a championship team like the Lakers, I'll say this. I'll say it this way. I think the Lakers next year, you might disagree, would rather have Jrue Holiday than Trae Young.
Yeah, maybe.
And
I think
that's
they'll
kind of
probably go young.
And that I'm not saying that that's kind of the same thing with Luka, but I think with Luka and Trae being so much, both of them being ball dominant, just ridiculously, I think that just is kind of the way it is, right? That they're incredible for their respective teams, but I don't know how they'd play with another primary ball handler. That's just kind of what we've yet to see with either of them. But yeah, Trae in the playoffs was just absolutely immaculate.
Yeah, and I think this list is good. I think this list actually wasn't that hard to make. Granted, I guarantee we get fried in the comments, but I think it looks. Granted, I know you probably like Wall and D tier. Maybe that's probably the biggest gripe you have.
Right.
I think it looks pretty good.
Probably is. But yeah, I mean, maybe Lonzo up a tier, but that's just because I like Lonzo Ball. If you look at it, I mean, look at the tiers. It's pretty balanced. Obviously, we got a lot in A, not very many in D, but it's pretty balanced. And again, the point guard position is pretty stacked overall. But that is gonna wrap it up for our point guard tier list. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy it. Comment your thoughts down below. Again, we probably disagree on some things, but that is okay. Comment your opinions down below. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are new, and as always, man, I love you guys and have a blessed day.